held against you. And let's get going. Okay. So welcome to the Aseret, the Big Ten course. We hope to have a very interesting and somewhat interactive course over here. There's a lot of people and we only have half an hour, but we're going to try to do this twice a week, keep us up on our toes, get some good energy here and some good understanding and insight. Okay, I want to start over here with the story as an introduction to the entire course. I'll be working, by the way, I'll be working off this curriculum, which if you're interested in it, we can maybe get you a copy, but where are we? We should be way up. Hang on a sec. Okay, there we go. And let's go here. Let's go here. Okay, Elie Wiesel. Everyone see that? Great. Okay, even have my little pen over here. Elie Wiesel, great guy. Unfortunately died last year, I think, or the year before. Amazing Jew. Written a lot of books, by the way, worth reading. Elie Wiesel said about modern day Jewry. He said he made a critique about modern day Jewry. He said it's like a messenger who is on his way to fulfill his mission and gets hit on the head and is knocked out, unconscious. When he comes around, he doesn't remember who sent him, where he was going, what his mission is, and even the fact that he is a messenger. Yeah. Now, remember, just put Elie Wiesel in context. Elie Wiesel was a Holocaust survivor. So, you know, this is the Jewish world. He saw the Jewish world before the World War, Holocaust, during it and after. And he's like, we've lost the plot. We've lost the plot. Look at the Jewish world around. How many Jews in the world today? 12 million, 13 million, who knows? And if you would ask any one Jew, what does it mean to be a Jew? You would probably get a different answer. It's unbelievable. Like, just think about that question yourself. Do you have an answer? And obviously, I don't know, or I'm not sure is an answer, but do you have an answer to the question, what does it mean to be Jewish? Who are we? Who are we as a people? Who are we as individuals? What's our mission? Who sent us? Where are we going? What are we meant to be doing? That's a big, big question. And as big as that question is, I am as ambitious because I really think, I really believe that we can try to answer this question in a somewhat simple, because we need a simple answer, but extremely profound way. So let's think about this way. Imagine if this messenger, our knocked out messenger, would look through his belongings and come across a little notebook answering these questions. As he reads it, he would start to recall everything written. He would regain his clarity, reawaken his identity, and revive his passion. So, what do we have? Something, a little card, maybe a little, an app, I don't know, today, something where, like, yes, that's Judaism in a concise, understandable, profound way. And do we have something like this, folks? My answer to you is, yes, we do. It's the 10 Commandments. Wow. Okay. How many of you thought about that? How many of you, right? That's a good question. Why that's not necessarily the first answer everyone gives. I'm going to try to address that actually a bit later. I want to go to this page and, okay. The 10 Commandments, let's look at them. In just 172 words, if you understand Gematria, the numerical value of Hebrew words, that's Gematria Akev. Akev is a parsha in the Torah. It really means a consequence. It's a very nice way to remember it. 172 words, the 10 Commandments are our core values. This is what Judaism is all about. They explain who we are, what is our mission, and are giving us the guiding principles upon which to base our decisions. So just to remind you, Anochi Hashem, I'm the Lord your God. Lo yeh lecha elim acherim, I have no other gods. Do not take God's name in vain. Shabbat, honor your parents. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not be a false witness. Do not covet. In those 10 simple, what are called dibrot, we have Judaism. It sounds simple. It's like, yeah, of course, yeah. But we're going to get into how to live with these in a day-to-day, minute-to-minute way. So here's a little questions for you guys to think about. Do you have a notebook? Is there something specific to you, maybe? Something short and simple that contain your core values. What do you stand for? The standards, we'll see this again, the standards of behavior, principles and beliefs upon which you make your decisions. What are they? In what ways does being Jewish impact your core values? Who are we? What is our mission? Okay. Let's try to get a little deeper over here. Keep Marcus awake. Yeah. Understanding the 10 Commandments as core values. First of all, let's get a definition. You always have to define terms when you speak about them. So core values are the most important principles and beliefs which we live with. They form the foundation of our decisions. You can always go back, make a decision. You can always go back and say, well, what is that based on? What's the principle? What's the belief that that's based on? I pray 3 times a day. I just prayed mincha. What's that belief? There's a foundation there that there is a God who I can communicate with, who listens to me. The way we evaluate situations and our desires are based on them, right? You look at something, well, why did you come to the conclusion you came to? What's that based on? Where are you coming from? What's underlying it? And even our desires, because we really desire that which we believe is going to bring us to success, happiness, whatever. We'll talk about it a lot when we get to Do Not Covet. But there are underlying principles and beliefs which really are the foundation of life as we know it, right? And the decisions, the evaluations, and the desires we have. In this sense, our core values are an essential element of who we are, right? It's a question really of identity. Where do they come from? How do we know our core values? How do we determine them? This question has been asked by the greatest thinkers throughout time, but there's many conclusions. We will explore how the 10 Commandments can form the core values of the Jewish people. Now, there was a great rabbi, Rav Gedalia Shaw. I know that Joseph studied under one of his sons, and he said a very interesting thing. He said that our tradition has it that the 10 Commandments, we heard at Sinai, the words entered our souls and we became one with them. This is what he writes. Each diber, man, ne'imim, diber, and mechilta, this is from a midrash, each diber was engraved in the souls of the Jewish people, and from there were engraved in the tablets, because the dibrot were actually alive and became the essential life force of the Jewish people. So in a way, what we're trying to do over here, if he's correct, is we're really trying to not discover something outside of us. We're trying to get in touch with something inside of us. There's a dating site, I saw you at Sinai. If we were all at Sinai, if that was true, which I sincerely believe, and this happened, that the words came from God, went into our souls, into our neshama, maybe our collective neshama, and then onto the tablets, what we're trying to do here is not so much learn something external, try to connect with something internal. At the end of the day, what we'd like to achieve is such a recognition and alignment with the dibrot that, when the next time you think about stealing, it's not a question of should I or shouldn't I, this is wrong. It's me. It's not, I don't steal, right? Law, in fact, okay. Conversation questions over here. how do you think the Ten Commandments and the values they include have affected Jewish and non-Jewish thinking throughout history? And of course, there's a lot to be said about that. Now, how do I know? How do I know that I'm right? Where am I coming from? The Ten Commandments. You look in all these books. You can't say, in any Jewish library, there are a lot of answers to this question about what is Judaism, and who we are. So where am I coming from? Where's this theory that the Ten Commandments is the place we should go to? So I have a few thoughts to share with you. Number one is mass prophecy. At Sinai, we collectively heard the Ten Commandments directly from God. It is the only time in history that God spoke directly to an entire nation. Right? This is one of the unique features of the Sinai experience. We have a whole group of people, estimated at 3 million people, standing there at Sinai, and God speaking to the entire nation. Now, the rest of the Torah, Moses is the prophet that receives it. Says the Ralbag, one of the middle age commentators, known as one of the Rishonim. You should know that the Aseret Devarim, the Ten Commandments, contain all the mitzvot of the Torah. These contained within these 10, you'll find every one of the mitzvot. Nothing missing. God's intention was that the Jewish people should hear them in a supernatural way, ba'ofen hanifla, he says in the Hebrew, directly from himself. Lo mipi Moshe. He didn't want it to be from Moses. Kedei she'aminu behem, in order that our faith, our knowledge, our faithfulness to them, shelo yishar alehem safek behem, shehu me'Hashem yis'aleh. There should be no doubt that they are from God. Wonderful commentary. And the question over here is, this is the only time God spoke to the entire nation as mass prophecy. What are the implications that everyone received the Ten Commandments directly from God as opposed to Moses alone? And I'm actually going to do something very risky over here, if I can, and that is unmute. Oops, we don't want to scan here. Let's see if I can get here. No, I don't know how to unmute everyone from here. So anyway, any of you have any ideas on that, please write them in. What do you think is the significance of hearing the Ten Commandments? All of us were there, and we all heard it at the same time. What is significant about that? Any ideas? And let's see. Mark Schnaps write something. You could unmute yourself, by the way.
You can hear me?
Yes. Hi, Marcus. Marcus from Jerusalem. Whoa.
Yeah.
He's really Jerusalem. I just got this silly background behind me. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not as many people there now as they are in the photo behind you. But is that a green screen?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Yes. What do you think? What do you have to say about this question?
In terms of spiritual development, I think about how if our spirit is eternal, then if we can develop ourselves on such a level that we can get more and more in touch with our spirit, or more and more in touch with our neshama, we can directly access Sinai.
Wow, it's there, right? It's there inside of us that we could get to that.
And frankly, I met a man who told me that when he is learning Torah, he is experiencing Sinai.
Wow, amen. Let us all get there. I love that. Fantastic.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Thank you. Let's go on. Sorry, I've got to keep it at fast pace because we have a lot of information to get through, and we don't have that much time. Okay. Tree from which branches spread out. The Avodas HaKodesh of Meir Ben Yechezkel ibn Gabai gives a graphic expression of the idea of a tree trunk from which all the branches spread out from it. This is actually a quote from the Abba Benel. Al-Ken Amati Sheseres Advarim Elohim Mamirim Klalim and Kol Tarek Mitzvahs. All the 630 mitzvahs are contained here. They're the general principles which emerge from them. They are the roots and foundations for all the 630 mitzvahs, which branch out and spread out from it. So if you graphic in that sense, you can think about a tree. The Kuzari says the heart, Rav Levi, Yehuda Levi, provides another image of the heart which gives life to the entire body. He includes the fact that the tablets were kept in the ark. This is a fascinating insight that he has, that he actually says the Aseret Dibrot are the root of wisdom, Shoresh Chachma, placed in the ark, which is on the level of the heart. Right? Medregat Halev. V'shelucho tav hein divrei Sefer Torah. And that which emanates from it, that which flows from it, is the book of the Torah, and that's why it was on the side of the ark, the Brit Hashem. So says the Kuzari, really, these Aseres, if you think about it, they're the life force, they're the heart that's pumping the energy to everything else. So just another proof, insight to the role that the Aseret Dibrot play. Okay, I like this one. Sometimes when I speak, I entitled my class "The Ten Commandments: A Terrible Mistake," and that's because, astonishingly, let's look at this. Astonishingly, the Ten Commandments is an incorrect translation, right? And significant mistake of that. In the Torah, the Ten Commandments are called Aseret HaDevarim, always. The correct translation is the 10 statements or utterances. A devar, a statement, means something general and encompassing of many details. The 10 Commandments should really be translated as the 10 principles or the 10 core values. For this reason, we refer to the 10 Commandments as dibrot in the plural, or when referring to them in the singular, a diber. And those are the only Hebrew word, actually one more, aseret, which means 10, words you need for this course. Interestingly enough, in the Torah, they are called in the masculine, devarim, right? In the language of the rabbis of the Talmud and further, they're always called dibrot, which is the feminine. So this is my proof of the egalitarian nature of our rabbis of the Talmud. I don't know the answer to that question. If anyone wants to, if anyone ever finds one or thinks of a good answer, why they changed from the masculine to feminine, I'd love to know. In the singular, they still actually retain the masculine, a diber, rather than a dibra. So that's interesting. So what's the difference between a diber and a mitzvah? If they were the 10 Commandments, they would be the Aseret HaMitzvot. So says Rabbi Mecklenburg, he says, bases it on a Rambam, it's quite philosophical, but they are not called the 10 Commandments, even though they are commandments. So get this straight, folks. If you count the 613 commandments, you will count 10 of them as what's in the 10 Commandments. In fact, you'll count 14. We'll see that there are details which each one counts as a different one of the 613 commandments. So they definitely are part of the 613 commandment collective, but they are called Devarim because because the meaning of the term Diber, as the Rambam says, is the highest generality. Okay, so Amar Rambam Kashem Davar Diber Hunach Al Amalitza Baloshana Me'inyanahu Anishim Benem Dechen Hu Shem Klali Gavoa Koilal Kol Minei Diburim. It's a general principle, and right, and even though if they would call the Aseret HaMitzvot, there would be specific mitzvot, and therefore they are called dibrot to express that these are super mitzvahs, right? These are the 10 statements, and they include, they koilel the entire Torah. So, questions for you to consider. what is the difference between a diber and a mitzvah? And think of a core value in your life. How do you express it in your actions, right? You've got this principle, and then it has many expressions. So we're saying that each one of these dibrot actually will fulfill that role. Okay, now something fascinating about the Aseret dibrot, and I think it's true of the whole Torah as well, but we find that they are called V'yageid lechem. Look at this verse over here. I told you et brito, says Moshe. Moses is speaking to the people here in Deuteronomy, and he says to the people, I told you the covenant, asher tzivah etchem lasot aseret devarim, which he commanded you to do the 10 devarim, the 10 commandments, v'yachtabeim al shnei luchat avanim, and I wrote them down. So the 10 commandments are called a covenant. And what's a covenant? This is, by the way, a precursor for the weekly wow that all of you hopefully will be reading later. A covenant is the coming together of two or more parties in order to create something for the benefit of the other, or better yet, the whole. It is the merging of identities from the I to the we. So when we think about our relationship to the Almighty, we think about it in terms of that we're in covenant, right? There's a merging of identities between God and the Jewish people. And that means that we are God's people, and He is the God of Israel. Our names even change. And that means that through the Aseret Dibrot, through this, we are here together. We do this together. I would like to say that it's about fulfilling the mission, which will become so evident once we study this in depth. Fulfilling this mission together, us together with God, God together with us, bringing this world to its final perfection, is really what this is about. And that's the significance of Sinai, that we entered into a brit, into a covenant. And you could think of the Aseret Dibrot, the 10 Commandments, as the details of that covenant. So here's some questions for you. Does the idea of the covenant of the 10 Commandments explains the Jewish mission resonate with you? Is that finding any resonance? What relationship with people in your life would you consider covenantal? I know we have Mark and Peggy, a beautiful married couple, right? We know that marriage is a covenant, right? No longer think of yourself as alone, right? But you think of yourself in terms of the other person. Which relationships are contractual? Definitely the one I have right now with my lawyer. How does this distinction inform your actions? That's a good question. What does it mean to work in covenant? And in what ways is this distinction reflected in our world today? Okay. How do we do this? Here's a major question. Okay, here you go. Very nice, Rabbi. The 10 Commandments, they're up on the bima, they're on top of the aron, they're on the side of the shul. I don't murder, I don't commit adultery, I don't steal, I hardly ever witness to be a false witness. And yeah, coveting is a little a little challenging for me. What's that got to do with Judaism as a whole? How can we really get into this and honestly say that everything, right? Everything, from my talis to my tzitzis to my, keeping to eating kosher food to, what we think of as Jewish, right? As what we as Jews. How can it really be? How can we really say that they're included in the tank? We saw all these great people saying it, but how does it work? And that's a major question, which I'd like to tackle now. So I think that it works like this. With everything in the Torah generally, and definitely over here, we deal with two levels of understanding. The first level of understanding is what we call the Peshat. Peshat means the simple or literal meaning. Okay, so the literal meaning of each commandment is the specific instruction it's giving us. In Hebrew, this level is called Peshat. Like other mitzvot in the Torah, the Ten Commandments have been codified by great thinkers over time. In fact, they are part of the 613 mitzvot. And as I said before, maybe like 14 of them are in there. These 10 Commandments can be thought of as the paradigm or epitome of the values they are based on. For example, the 6th commandment is do not murder. It literally means do not kill a person unjustly, and is limited to causing someone to lose their physical life. And we could spend a lot of time, actually very interesting now, right? These questions that have come up. When is death, right? You need to take a breathing machine, a resuscitator from one person to another. Are you allowed to do that? This person's got 10 minutes left to live. With this person, we could save their life. Could we? Great questions. That deals with the peshat, the literal meaning of do not murder. But I want to know, okay, I'm not a doctor. I probably will never be in that situation in my life. How do I live with do not murder on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute level? And that's where we come to something called the Yesod. And that's what we are primarily here to study. And that is the underlying meaning. Right? Underlying each commandment are the principles on which they are based. These principles, like all principles, are fundamental truths or beliefs that describe our reality. Being general, they can guide many instructions and decisions, not only the specific commandment from which they are derived. In Hebrew, this level is known as Yesod, which means foundation. So that's how we're going to get into the foundation, into the underlying meanings over here. It is this level of understanding which makes the Ten Commandments applicable to day, minute-to-minute living. In order to live with them in this way, each principle and or belief must be transformed into a guideline for making decisions. So let's do an example over here. Give me 5 minutes. I know we're running a little bit over time. We did start a little over time. The simple meaning pshat of the diber, do not murder, is do not kill a person unjustly. We just did that. However, the underlying principle Yesod, what's that based on? Is that since every person is created in the image of God, and of course when we study do not murder specifically, we will go into this at length, one must respect, protect, and enhance life. So that's the Yesod over here, that people, mankind, is made in the image of God. As a guideline for making decisions, it is to nurture your own and others' physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual lives. In short, nurture life. That's really how we take do not murder as the epitome, right? Well, what's do not murder? It's the epitome of not nurturing life. And I really, one of the big questions is why did God tell us these in the negative? Couldn't he tell us nurture life, right? And I think the answer is, and it's based on a midrash. The midrash says every time God said no, we turned around and said yes, which means that when we heard the negative, we interpreted it and we came up with the positive. And in that sense, I think God, just like we said, this is a covenant. This is working together with God. God left a place for us to derive, to find and express what the positive is that we have a part in. So throughout our discussions, we will dig deeper into each of the Ten Commandments. As an initial exercise, express 3 of the Ten Commandments as core values in terms of Peshat and Yesod. So here we have an example for you. Right? Do not murder is the Peshat. Right? That's the literal, which would mean do not kill unjustly. And the example, the Yesod, the underlying would be nurture life. So let's try another one. Go on, someone, what would you say is underlying, take anyone. Do not commit adultery.
be loyal to your
Loyalty,
spouse.
right?
Yeah.
Beautiful, right? Be loyal. Now you could see that applies not only in a marriage, but that applies in all relationships, right? So adultery, we understand. Excuse my writing. Said I'd never be a doctor, but it looks like that. Okay, adultery, and over here we're going to put loyalty, right? So you can understand adultery is dealing with marriage. Loyalty is in every relationship, right? Is to, you made an arrangement with a friend, keep it. That's loyalty, etc. Okay, that's what we need to do. Think for yourself, please, about another 2 of them. Think, do the exercise. Really think. What is the underlying principle for the diber that I'm thinking about?
Do not steal. Be on time.
Right? Yes, do not steal, right? What would that mean? Right? Do not take from other people things which you don't deserve, right? Things which are not, you don't have the right to take, but even be taking their time. Okay. Now, every day we're going to finish with this. These are questions for you. How do you use your core values? Examine decisions you make every day, both large and small. What part do your core values play in these decisions? Keep a journal for a week or more. Look back and see which themes emerge, right? Who are we? What resonates with you the most? Think about your Jewish bucket list. Choose individual projects for study, social action, spirituality that reflect your unique principles. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. And I can see you clapping over there. Wait, I got to unmute you. The idea is to do half an hour on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Definitely for as long as we're all at home or whatever. But let's see how far we go. Hope to see you on Tuesday, where we will be doing the first. Where we will be the first of the debate. We're actually going to go from 10 to 1. Let me just look at your chats here. Unfortunately, they weren't up when I was speaking. Adam Shapiro. Hello, Adam Shapiro from Ramat Beit Shemesh. Unique. No one prophet who transmitted the word of God, right? The word of God we all heard. Excellent. Peggy Schnapp. So we all saw the same thing. It's the greatest equalizer, right? We were all there. We all saw the same things. Man is often called a medaber, hence the dibrot are specifically for man. Very nice. Okay, we will get to the. Thank you, Peggy or Mark. We will get to that when we speak about do not be a false witness, and to Rana. Hi,
Yeah.
Rana.
Hi.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us excellent food for thought today. Thank you all, and have a